Hey everybody, this is Geneva of GenevasClosett Talk Show. Please make sure you like and share this video and subscribe to Geneva's Closet if you haven't already done so right here on YouTube. And you can follow me on Facebook at Geneva's Closet. And you can email me at GenevasClosett22@gmail.com. Now, let's get into the news.
Did you know that the actor Earl Hyman, who played as Russell Huxtable, Cliff Huxtable's father on the hit TV show, The Cosby Show, led a secret life? And most people say we should keep it that way. But I say, in today's time, Earl would have been happy to live the life that he ultimately wanted to live and didn't have to move to Norway to live his secret life, where he said he felt most appreciated. Well, if you didn't know, you gonna learn today. Now check this out. George Earl Hyman was born on October 11th, 1926 in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. His parents, both school teachers, moved their 4 children to the north to be educated. I was the only black boy in school. The pressure was awful. I had nowhere to hide. I'm glad I managed to be the best. I had a photographic memory. I read things twice, and I knew it. Hyman's father, Zachariah Hyman, became assistant to the city parks commissioner and designed the landscaping in Prospect Park and at the planetarium. It's very moving today for me to go back and look at those trees. Then the Depression came along and he was fired. He thought it was because he was black. I'm sure he was right, but it hurt him. He became bitter about it, which is worse than being hurt, and he kind of gave up. Down times came and we moved to poorer and poorer houses and apartments, but it pushed me straight into theater. On his 13th birthday, Hyman took his girlfriend to see his first professional play, Ibsen's Ghost. I rushed to the library the next day and read all of Ibsen's plays. My interest in Norway started there. I went to the theater every week. 25 cents it cost to sit in the second balcony. He attached himself to Mercedes Gilbert Black, who played in The Green Pastures. I haunted her house. She sort of adopted me, gave me pointers. There were no jobs for black actors then. Then a radio producer called the actress one day while Hyman was there. He needed someone to play George Washington Carver as a boy. Black told Hyman, then 16, to speak, pitching his voice high to sound like he was 7. He got the job, but the producer was startled when in walked a 6'4" teenager. Hyman added an E to his first name, Earl, and in 1943 was offered a walk-on part in Run Little Chillum on Broadway. Hyman decided to stay in show business after appearing in the American Negro Theater's Anna Lucasta, if I'm saying that correctly. But this time he came down to Broadway to stay and stay, he says. Driving Miss Daisy will be made into a movie, but Hyman doesn't think he'll get the role because he hasn't done many feature films. I really wish I had done more movies. He was offered the role in Something of Value starring Rock Hudson and Sidney Poitier, but I turned it down. I thought I couldn't do it well. Sometimes in this business, it isn't too good to be too honest with yourself. I turned down a few other roles in movies because I love the theater so much. What snobs we theater actors can be. Hyman was a member of the American Shakespeare Theater, beginning with his first season in 1955, and played the role of Othello in the 1957 season. And in December 1958, he came to London to play the leading role in Moon on a Rainbow Shawl. And in 1959, he appeared in the first London production of A Raisin in the Sun. A member of the Actors Studio, Hyman appeared throughout his career in productions in both the United States and Norway, where he also owned property. And in 1965, he won a Theater World Award, and in 1988, he was awarded the St. Olav's Medal for his work in Norwegian theater. In addition to his stage work, Hyman appeared in various television and film roles. But did you know that he played the voice for Panthro on the animated television series Thundercats from 1985 to 1989? And one of his most well-known roles was that of Russell Huxtable in The Cosby Show, which earned him an Emmy Award nomination in 1986. From 1984 to 1992, he played the father of lead character Cliff Huxtable, played by actor Bill Cosby, despite only being 11 years older than Cosby. Jordan Straw, a representative for the Actors Fund, says that George Allen Hyman died Friday, November 17, 2017, at the Lillian Booth Actors Home in Englewood, New Jersey. He was 91 years old. In June of 2020, the Folger Shakespeare Library, a private research library in Washington, D.C., acquired Hyman's personal items and memorabilia to be displayed as the Earl Hyman Collection. When the Folger Shakespeare Library spoke on the Earl Hyman Collection, they said, "The Earl Hyman Collection is an incredible gathering of family memorabilia, photographs, posters, objects, awards, costume design, scripts, personal correspondence, journals, props, newspaper clippings, and more." Mr. Hyman lived with his partner of 50 years, a Norwegian seaman named Rolf Sørensen, and many photos and correspondence appear to relate to their relationship. Mr. Hyman described this as a passionate friendship, calling Rolf his partner. I found an article on elisaroll.com that says, Rolf Sørensen was born June 29, 1926 in Haugesund, Norway. He eventually got a job as a steward on a yacht that sailed between New York and Florida. Earl Hyman and Rolf met in 1954. We met at a party in Manhattan. We were young and poor and found out we were going to share an apartment, and we still do. Life with Earl has been wonderful, but also a roller coaster. Actors are a rare breed of their own, and it's not far from top to bottom. Norway is my fatherland, but my heart belongs to New York. Rolf told that in an interview with the young journalism student Margaret Havik in 2000. 3 years after they moved in together, Earl went to Norway for the first time, and in 1963, he had enormous success with his interpretation of Othello in Bergen. In sounding Norwegian, he and his co-star attracted 50 full houses and created Shakespeare fever in the city. Othello was to become a favorite role for Earl, and he would also later repeat it with Filsted as the opposite. The two had also caused controversy in the film The African from 1966. At the time, many people reacted to the love depicted between a black man and a white woman. When Filsted spoke on Earl's relationship, she said, "First and foremost, I think of them as a beautiful story. They lived together their entire adult lives as a harmonious couple." Filsted told this when she was interviewed in 2017. Earl frequently traveled back and forth from New York to Norway. He said, "I've bought a cabin back home, found me a wonderful place in Scandinavia, and will spend 2 or 3 months there this summer." Scandinavia was precisely the place where Rolf had also spent many summers as a child, so it was hardly chosen by chance. The two shared an apartment on the 33rd floor in Manhattan with the cat Tuss Tuss that they brought back with them. Rolf worked the last 35 years of his professional life at KO Steakhouse in Greenwich Village. The couple also featured in Good Evening Norway on TV2 in 2000. "I could never live without Rolf. He is the best I could get," Earl stated. Rolf died January 14, 2004 in the United States. He himself had wanted to be cremated in Norway. Earl was quietly with his loved one to his final resting place in front of those present, again in fluent Norwegian. He also had the strength to read Psalms 91 during the ceremony ahead of the urn lowering. Almost 50 years of cohabitation were over. When Earl died on November 17, 2017, in the obituary in the New York Times, it was mostly about his career and that he broke racial barriers as an actor. It ends with a sentence that Earl never married and died alone without any descendants. Rolf was not mentioned. New York Times said about Hyman's career, with young contemporaries like James Earl Jones, Sidney Poitier, Harry Belafonte, and Morgan Freeman. Mr. Hyman was a major influence in developing black theater in America. He appeared in black cast productions on Broadway and in regional theaters and was a founder of the American Shakespeare Festival in Stamford, Connecticut, which began in 1955 and often cast black actors in customarily white leading roles. He was inducted into the Theater Hall of Fame in New York in 1997, skirting racial barriers that had long limited the opportunities for black actors in America. Mr. Hyman lived and worked in England for 5 years and spent parts of each year in Scandinavia, mostly in Norway, for more than half a century. He became fluent in Norwegian and Danish, spoke passable Swedish, and performed in Oslo, Copenhagen, Stockholm, and plays by Shakespeare, Ibsen, and O'Neill. It used to be that casting black actors in traditionally white roles seemed daring, like marching in the street. And maybe things have gotten better, and maybe they haven't, Mr. Hyman told the New York Times in 1991. But just the fact that people still ask the question, should we or shouldn't we, proves that much hasn't changed.
I would like to know how you all feel about this situation, and while you are letting me know, could you please like and share this video and subscribe to Geneva's Closet if you haven't already done so right here on YouTube. And you can follow me on Facebook at Geneva's Closet, and you can email me at genevascloset22@gmail.com. You all have a fabulous day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.
When the sun shines bright, I see you there.